Quick training tutorial on how to do an insurance quote with PL Rater. This PL Rater, what they do is they take the customer's information and show you the prices from all the different insurance companies that we work with. Your first step is going to be you want to go to rating.vertifor.com. Rating.vertifor.com. The account ID is always going to be 55675, and you should have a different username and password for your agency. I'm going to put in my password here. The next thing you want to do is you always press accept to this. It's going to show up every time. And from here, you either choose an existing quote. If you've done a quote for this person before in PL Rater, it'll show up here. If not, you're going to press the new button, which that's what I'm going to do right now. Somebody requested a quote from me earlier. Okay. And they make this very simple. Everything in red is what you have to fill out, otherwise you can't move forward. So I'm going to put in his name, his date of birth. Oops. You're going to want to ask the customer if he's married or single. I just happen to know that he's married. And if you put their zip code, it automatically looks up the city. And this is another thing you want to ask them. Does he rent or own his home? And what type of residence is it? Is it a regular house? That's what single family dwelling means. Is it a condo? Is it an apartment? Mobile home? I happen to know it's an apartment, and I know that he rents it. Quick tip about this: time at address. If you do anything 3 years or under, they're going to want a previous address. That's why that shows up there. But if you do something over 3 years, you don't have to put it anymore. And you always want to put as much contact information as you can for the customer. It helps make your life easier in the future with Now Certs. So I'm going to put his cell phone. Okay. I usually recommend his email too, but I just happen to not have that right now. Next thing you want to do is you specify which kind of quote you want to do. You can do an auto quote from here or a home quote. So in this case, he wants an auto insurance quote. I'm going to choose that. This next screen is very simple. It looks complicated, but all you have to do is press all. It selects every company to get a price from. You press the next button on the bottom. From here, you want to choose the effective date. I click this button for today. The policy term, annual means 12 months, semi-annual is 6 months. I just leave it on annual with everybody. Billing plan is monthly for everybody, and credit or debit card. The only time I change billing plan to full payment is when I know the customer express an interest in paying for the full year. Otherwise, just default to monthly. This next section is they want to know who his prior insurance carrier before they switch over to you. If you don't know this, it's actually okay to just guess on this. Not guess, but just choose the first option here. I choose today. This doesn't affect rating or anything like that with our companies. The next thing is their auto coverage limits. So if you are an agent, then you actually want to have this kind of discussion with the customer right now and see what they prefer for their limits. That way you can give them a quote for that. If you are a customer service representative or staff, you probably aren't authorized or not licensed to talk about this yet. So what I would do is just put it at 15, 30, and 10. Put 0 here. Leave uninsured motorist on. Leave these the way they are. And go ahead and press next. This next screen, they're asking you how many vehicles are we adding, and this bottom part is, are we adding other drivers? So he's not going to add other drivers, but I know we're going to add one car to this. That's the quote that he requested. Actually, let me just double check it. I think it's just one car. I was wrong. It's 2 cars. So you press 2 here and press next. The next thing is you want to fill out everything in red, but if you do the VIN number, it pre-fills most of it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and look at what he gave me. And if you just click on a blank space in the screen, everything should pre-fill for you if it's the correct VIN. If it doesn't do that, there's something wrong with the VIN number he gave you. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, notice how that one didn't pre-fill, so there must be something incorrect. I might have typed it wrong, so I'm gonna try it one more time. And it looks like the second time it pulled up, so that's how I know it was an error on my part. Purchase date, you want to ask the customer when they purchased it. If they're not sure, it's okay to just put today's date. And again, if you're an agent, you might want to have that conversation with the customer and just ask them when he purchased the car. If they don't know the exact day, you can just kind of get a ballpark. Same thing with your staff. If your staff and somebody calls in or they walk in and they want a quote that you're going to give to an agent, it's just wise to get as much information from them as possible. I would even recommend keeping them on the phone as you answer all these questions. And for annual miles, every time it's going to be 10,000. Last thing is, if you're an agent, you want to talk to them about what they would like their deductibles to be. However, if you're a staff, what I would do is just leave these both at 1,000, and the agent can deal with it when they talk to them, because you don't want to talk about coverage with the customer. I happen to know he doesn't want full coverage on this car, so I'm going to remove it. I'm going to put him on this car, though, because that's where he does want it. And again, if you're staff, what you can do is you can actually click on notes right here. And if you're unsure about something and you just have to guesstimate just to get the quote through, you can leave notes for the agent. That way, when you complete this and you call the agent or email this to him or call him over to review it with the customer, he can see everything that you did if you need to communicate that way. Okay, so it's going to show his name here. Again, everything in red needs to be filled out. So his gender is male. He's married. It doesn't have his driver's license number, so I'm going to type that in here really quick. That way it's able to run his record once we bridge. Okay, press next. This is a page where you can manually type in if they got tickets or accidents on their driving record. Right now, we're not going to deal with that. So we press next. Last question you want to do is, it's going to ask you, everything in red needs to be filled out, so that's only these two. Is this vehicle owned by the insured, which is the customer asking for the quote? Same question for the other car. So I'm going to put yes. This is something you want to ask the customer, of course, but I happen to know it's yes. Go ahead and press rate. And all the insurance companies will load. And I believe they are sorted in order of the 12-month premium. You can see, and keep in mind, it adds a $200 broker fee by default. If you wanted to, you could, delete this and make it 0. You see all the numbers going down. So it looks for this company is $1,200 for the year. Nationwide's at $2,000 for the year. And some companies will not accept it. You can see right here. The guidelines require that a married named insured spouse be included, so they want his wife to be included. So I'm gonna have to ask him about that. The rest of these can rate him. And the last thing I would do is, again, leave notes of anything you need to leave here. If you guys want a PDF quote, you can click on this for each of the customers, and it'll show it. It'll even include your broker fee. Every step that I went over here is also included on a PDF form if you're more of a if you like to read a document more than watch a video. So that'll be available in the description.